First up is the big news this week from sworn testimony by the Attorney General of the United States, William Barr, who was sworn in relatively recently. And he's been up on the Hill, and of course the left is upset with him because they're pretending to they're pretending to be concerned about his failure thus far to reveal the full Mueller report. Now, he testified that he's going to reveal what he's able to reveal with appropriate redactions, and if Congress wants to discuss those redactions with him, he'll be happy to discuss them. So that's kind of a more straightforward process, despite all of the Democratic noise designed to distract from the fact that Mueller has concluded there was no collusion, there was no evidence of collusion. Again, there was no collusion between the Trump campaign, President Trump, and the Russians to try to steal the elections. It was all a lie. That's essentially the conclusion of the Mueller report. Now, did Mueller call it a lie? I doubt he has, but that's the conclusion I draw. So you can imagine the left wants to talk about anything but that. But I have to say, even I've been struck by the irrational, I don't even know what the word is, response to one of Barr's testimonies last week, specifically to this week, specifically to the Senate subcommittee on, I think, on appropriations. He was talking about his budget, and of course they were asking him about Spygate. And a Democratic senator said, well, do you think there was spying? And he said, yes, there was spying on the Trump campaign. Now, he wants to know whether or not it was appropriate or not, whether it was an appropriate predicate for the spying, but he thought it was a big deal that they were spying on a presidential campaign. And he has questions about what went on. Some of the questions you've heard raised repeatedly here at Judicial Watch and virtually nowhere else. Specifically, he was concerned why President Trump and his team was not briefed on the fact, or then candidate Trump and his team, that there were lower level aides who potentially may have had improper ties to the Russians, or so the Obama gang was pretending to be concerned about. And if they were concerned about it, why didn't they brief the candidate or his top people about it? And we know that those type of briefings have taken place before. I've highlighted to you back in the day during the Chinagate scandal, when the Chinese communists were trying, and successfully, to buy off the Clinton administration and other elected officials, that the FBI got wind of this activity and went and briefed California Democrats, including Senator Dianne Feinstein, about it, as a warning. Look, they're trying to compromise you with donations and influence you with donations. You got to be on the lookout. They did nothing similar with President Trump, or then candidate Trump. So the Attorney General is doing an investigation as to why this spying operation took place targeting President Trump. And obviously he was a candidate Trump when it started. But remember, the spying continued during the Trump presidency, and I'll get into that later. So the immediate reaction from the left wasn't to say, well, there may have been spying, but it was appropriate. They're arguing whether there was spying or not. And I frankly don't know what to say in response to that. That, to me, it's like talking to a crazy person. Yes, the sun is in the sky. Yes, there was spying on the presidential campaign of candidate Trump. James Comey, the corrupt and dishonest FBI director, who the President of the United States did a national favor in firing, he says, well, you know, I considered it surveillance, not spying. But that's crazy town. That's crazy talk. And it suggests that there's something there they're desperately seeking to hide. Because they recognize politically, to say that the Obama administration spied on the Trump campaign is to condemn the activity. Because they know that you know there's no reasonable basis for the Obama administration to take the unprecedented step of spying on the candidate of their political opposition. There was never a good faith basis to do so. And even if there was a good faith basis to do so, they shouldn't have done it. That's why they're upset about it. And they're upset at the idea that the Attorney General of the United States has some questions about it and may do an investigation. Because they know if a real serious investigation is done, Democratic Party operatives will end up in jail. Senior government officials from the Obama administration will end up in jail. The conduct of the President of the United States at the time, Barack Obama, will be the subject of criminal investigations. Joe Biden, Susan Rice, the Democratic National Committee, Hillary Clinton, James Comey, James Clapper, John Brennan, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, John Kerry of the State Department. All of them were involved in this spy operation against the president. No doubt it was being run out of the Obama White House. And it didn't stop when the president won the election. It continued. How do I know it continued? Because we received the documents, the FISA warrant applications targeting Carter Page, one of which was signed by Rod Rosenstein after Mueller was appointed. So Robert Mueller was benefiting from this illicit spying on President Trump. It was a spy operation targeting candidate Trump and then President Trump. And it wasn't just the FISA warrants. They were using national security letters, which require third parties to turn over phone records and other documents, business records. That's spying too. They were using informants to target the campaign and try to entrap individuals associated with the campaign. And then, of course, they had the expansive power under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act to target with spying Carter Page and the Trump campaign. All of that was spying, and they know none of it was justified, which explains the irrational attacks on the Attorney General of the United States. And I hope you saw his testimony. If you haven't seen it, go back and look at it. Because he comes across as rational, sober. Is he as aggressive as I would want him to be? No, but who would be? But for simply making the unremarkable observation that there was spying, the Democratic establishment and their liberal allies in the media who were complicit in the criminal activity, which not only included the spying, but the leaking of the results of the spying, violations of law as well. And I just hope that the Attorney General is brave enough and strong enough to pursue a serious criminal investigation here. Because we don't need, him to be calling up people and saying, well, hey, why'd you do this? No, we need prosecutors, we need grand juries, we need all of the hallmarks of a serious criminal investigation to force these people to own up to what they did and explain what they did. You know what? And maybe I'm wrong. There was nothing criminal in any of it, but I don't buy it. I've seen evidence of criminal activity, and I'm not going to ignore it. And I'm not going to pretend the government should ignore it and pretend it's not there and they need 6 years of investigation. I know there's an IG report coming out. My guess it will be very helpful. It may result to criminal referrals, but who knows? There needs to be a serious prosecution. And I hope the Attorney General recognizes the need to do it and do it quickly. The president is a crime victim. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. The president is a crime victim. Other targets of this spying are crime victims. And now they don't want us to use the word spying. This is Orwellian attack on the Republic, an Orwellian attack on the rule of law. So we are not allowed to say the word spying as it relates to conduct, as it relates to spying. We're supposed to check our brains at the door to protect this Democrat mob operation that was targeted at President Trump.